Welcome to another program in our series, Free Thinking Forum. And I know you are concerned with clean water. Have you heard about Clean Water Action? Since 1972, it's worked at all levels of government to ensure passage of major environmental statutes, the laws that we need. And then they're continuing to work on strengthening critical environmental legislation. Not only the Clean Water Act, Safe Drinking Water Act, other laws established to protect the public. And today I have with me Jenna Grove. Welcome, Jenna.
Thank you.
You have a great responsibility in both federal and state legislation here in Minnesota. Tell us about what you're working on.
Well, this session we had kind of a tough go at it, and we were able to get the legislature to act favorably on two of our policies.
Good for you.
Yeah, so we can pat ourselves on the back for that one.
Yeah.
The first one is the Firefighter and Children's Health Protection Act, and the second is a buffer initiative. What the Firefighter and Children's Health Act does is ban 4 of the most toxic flame retardants from being used in upholstered furniture and children's products.
Banning fire retardants? Why?
Well, that is a great question. Flame retardants are linked with developmental problems among cancer, reduced IQ, and reproductive difficulties. They've also been shown to not have much impact on fire safety as well. When the flame retardants are ignited in our upholstered furniture, it actually creates a lot more of some carcinogenic smoke that the firemen are breathing in, and it's causing a lot of occupational cancers.
You mean firefighters get cancers because of the fire retardants?
Yeah, yes, 56% of all career firefighter line of duty deaths were from jump-related cancers.
Wow.
Yes, firefighters' work-related exposure to flame retardants puts them at a higher risk for cancer and other serious health effects. One thing that the bill also does is require a study on 6 other toxic flame retardants due by January 2016. So depending what that study says, we will be attempting to come back next legislature and also ban those other 6.
Mm-hmm. Good. So you mentioned the buffer initiative. Tell me about that.
Yes, the buffer initiative was actually one of the governor's priorities, and the law would establish new perennial vegetation buffers of up to 50 feet along rivers, streams, and ditches that will help filter out phosphorus, nitrogen, and sediment.
I've heard that's quite a major problem when polluting the clean water.
Absolutely. There is a lot of runoff from fields, and buffers are a proven best practice when it comes to conservation and providing significant improvements to water quality by retaining the pollutants that do run off from fields, by stabilizing eroding banks, and removing chemical pollution from upland surface runoff.
Good. So, what's next?
Well, unfortunately, we were not able to accomplish all of our priorities this session.
Well, you accomplished something.
We did.
But there's more yet to do.
But there was more to do, and we were not able to pass the Toxic Free Kids Act, the synthetic microbead ban, and for advancement on clean energy and jobs policies. The Toxic Free Kids Act of 2015 would have required manufacturers to disclose the use of priority chemicals in children's products so that consumers can make informed decisions when they're purchasing products for their children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, or just anyone they know. The Minnesota Department of Health designated 9 priority chemicals.
What are they?
Well, they are bisphenol A, which is commonly known as BPA,
Oh,
cadmium.
yeah, I've heard of that. That's quite toxic.
Yes, actually, it's a hormone-disrupting chemical found in polycarbonate plastic used in a lot of food packaging. The other chemicals on the list are cadmium and lead. They're toxic heavy metals which are regulated federally, but they're still used in cheap jewelry and are linked to adverse effects on learning and brain development. Formaldehyde is commonly found in children's personal care products and is linked to cancer and respiratory problems.
Formaldehyde. I've heard of that's used in preparing corpses, isn't it?
Yeah. It's very interesting that they would put something they use to embalm dead bodies in children's products, especially since it's known to cause cancer.
Yes. So were there some others?
Yes, there are 3 different phthalates, and they are hormone disruptors and linked to respiratory problems and reproductive problems. The 2 brominated flame retardants that we mentioned earlier are linked to adverse effects on learning and development, but thankfully to our flame retardant bill, both of those are now banned from children's products.
Good.
The unfortunate piece, as I might have mentioned before, is that manufacturers are not required to tell the public if they're using one of these priority chemicals in their products.
Why not? I should think they would be required to tell people.
You would think so, but unfortunately there are a lot of people that do not want us to know, including the Personal Care Products Council. They lobbied pretty heavily against us up at the legislature this session for this bill.
So, what was another one that you want to get through next year?
Well, next year we're hoping to come back with a synthetic microbead ban. Microbeads are tiny plastic particles less than 5 millimeters in diameter, and they're typically used in personal care products like exfoliants, toothpaste, soaps, and things like that. A single product can contain up to 350,000 beads.
Wow.
Yes, it's pretty upsetting. And a study up in Lake Superior in Erie found approximately 43,000 microplastic particles per square kilometer.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. And an issue with the impact on human health is that fish do eat the microbeads, and the microbeads absorb a lot of toxins in the water, and once the fish eat them, it makes their way in their tissue, and then we consume the fish. So it works its way right up the food chain.
We better stop that.
Yes. So we're hoping that this next session will be successful in passing it.
Now, are you working on another area, the clean energy?
Yes, this session we did work on clean energy to improve our renewable energy standard to 40% by 2030 and to improve the yearly energy savings goal for utilities from 1.5 to 2%.
So raising it by a third so that we have more wind and solar power in Minnesota?
Right, and we really just want to build a better, cleaner, more energy efficient state in Minnesota. As you can see from this slide, nearly 2,000 wind turbines in the state generate enough energy to power 744,000 average Minnesota homes.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. And the renewable energy standard has resulted in nearly $9.4 million in wind energy production tax revenue.
Oh,
That's
just the tax alone,
just the tax alone.
really?
And that is paid directly to counties.
Well, that's important. And how about solar?
Solar is very important. Solar is putting a lot of people to work. There are currently 113 solar companies at work throughout Minnesota.
Wow.
And between September 2012 and early 2014, employment in the state's solar industry grew 73%.
A real expanding industry.
Yes, definitely. And we hope to expand it more.
So we have some time to talk about other things, including how people can volunteer to work with you on the legislative matters.
We are always looking for volunteers, whether it be writing letters to the editor, whether it is coming into the office and helping out. We're always happy to have volunteers come by the office and check it out, to make some phone calls, to even just give calls to their legislator. It's so important to be engaged with your legislator because they really do listen to their constituents.
Yes, I've found that myself in trying to be active in a sense, lobbying.
Yes.
Helping the legislators know what we really want.
Yes, and
Otherwise, they're likely just to be influenced by paid lobbyists that.
yes, and industry folk who do pay their lobbyists. But it is important. We do have lobby days. We do have different ways that people can get out and make their own voice heard, which is very, very important.
Did you want to elaborate on anything, Jenna, that we've already talked about?
I would say if I were to elaborate on anything, it's just the importance of being cognizant of what you're putting out into the environment, what you're doing for the environment, and ways that you can be better. None of us are saints. No one's going to be perfect at keeping the environment pristine. But there are things that we can all do, small or large, to make sure that we're contributing to a better society.
That's important. And do you care to tell us a little bit about the federal level? Are there things at the federal level that we should be concerned with too?
Sure, of course. I spoke briefly of the Toxic Free Kids Act. And there is a bill.
Oh, that's federal legislation.
No, so that is actually state, but there is a bill federally right now called the Toxic Substances Reform Act. There are 84,000 chemicals that are unregulated, untested. We have no idea what they do. And this bill will hopefully encourage the EPA to take more action on figuring out what these chemicals are, what their impacts on human health are. But there is a clause in the bill that would preempt state work. So that is one issue that we have with the bill.
I don't think Minnesota wants the federal government to preempt our work
That's
on
true,
protecting the environment.
Especially with all of the hard work we've done on chemical policy thus far.
Yeah. I have a sense that Minnesota is in the forefront of the states.
Yes, that's correct.
Are there other states that have that you know of that have been copying the work that we're doing here?
Yes, actually, I do have to point out one of my friends, Steve Wilson, he works with Story of Stuff. They just recently helped to pass the California microbead ban, which was a very similar bill to ours, and had a clause so that way there's no funny business with fake biodegradable plastic. So
Good.
that is a great victory for all of us.
Yeah. And are other facets of Clean Water Action that you'd like to tell us about?
One last thing, we're always looking for community engagement, like with volunteering, but we are also having an annual fall fundraiser coming up on October 1st at the Open Book in Minneapolis. Everyone's welcome. Tickets are $25. There will be free food and drinks and music, and we will be presenting awards to our legislators of the year.
Do you know, what can you tell us about those awards and the legislators? Because this program probably will not be seen before October 1.
Oh, well, we still have to keep the legislators a secret, but we will be giving out a Legislator of the Year award to someone in the Senate and also someone in the House. And we will also be giving out 2 awards to advocates, people who really helped us make our work a possibility.
Good. Well, maybe our some of our viewers would like to help out, maybe earn that award next year.
That would be great. You can always sign up to volunteer on our website.
Good. And that website again is?
www.cleanwateraction.org.
Good. Now, if they want to send you some email or
Yeah.
That's just cleanwater.org, isn't it?
Yes, you can always feel free to get in touch with me. It's jgrove@cleanwater.org. I'm always willing to answer any questions or to accept any help via volunteers.
Well, good. You've been a coordinator now for how long?
I have been our legislative program coordinator since December.
And before that?
I was the assistant director for the Grassroots Project team.
Oh, good.
So I've been with Clean Water for a while, but I've been doing a little shifting around.
Well, good. Advancement.
Yes, yeah.
And tell us about the Grassroots Action.
So the Grassroots Project team, they are hard workers. They have a phone canvas and a field canvas for hire. So what they do is they have contracts coming in to do various work, and they go out, they knock on doors, they're making phone calls every day. During legislative session, they're the ones calling constituents and urging them to contact their legislators. So without them, there's a lot of work that would be left undone.
So some of them, you have that staffed, but there are also volunteers trying to get other volunteers to
Correct.
to contact the legislators.
Yes. We send out member emails, let them know what's going on, and urge them to contact their legislator and say, hey, you need to be voting for this bill because microbeads are important, or the safety of our children is important.
Mm-hmm. So could you tell us more about what is in the further action that Clean Water Action may be taking?
Of course, yes. So next session, nothing's in solid stone yet, of course, but we hope to go back after those 6 different flame retardants, depending on what that study says that comes out in January of 2016. And we also plan to, of course, go back after the Toxic Free Kids Act and the microbeads.
And I've looked at your website. There are some other facets of clean water that you work on, I think. Could you tell us more about, is there something about fracking that?
Right, so there isn't much fracking in Minnesota. There is some sand fracking down south, but a lot of our other states, we are a national nonprofit, are doing a lot of work on fracking, especially because it's so close to home for them.
Good. And are there some other states that you're working on developing action in nearby? Are Wisconsin, Iowa, North and South Dakota, are they?
Unfortunately,
organized?
right now we do not have offices there. Our Midwest offices are Minnesota and Michigan, and we handle a lot of the Midwest work.
So you're active in multiple states, not just Minnesota.
Oh, correct. Yeah, we're a national nonprofit. We have, oh my goodness, you're putting me on the spot naming all the offices.
Oh,
we
we can look on the website for that.
Yeah, absolutely. But we have offices on both coasts and in the Midwest.
Good. And is there anything particular now that the national president is working on? I saw a quote from him on your website about the accomplishments that you've made in the first 40 years.
Right, yes.
All beginning with the Clean Water Act.
Yes, of course. And that is, of course, what started Clean Water is the Clean Water Act and the fact that we needed to build off of that. And the president is working on the waters of the U.S., which is a law that, pretty much says that all water flows into each other, and it's important to protect all of it, not just some of it.
Mm-hmm. So part of my history is that for a time I served as commissioner of one of our large regional park systems.
Oh, wow.
And I served in that role, served on the advisory group that created the Mississippi National River and Recreation Area.
Oh, that's great.
So I'm one of the advocates of clean water, for sure.
Good, good.
And have been trying to understand what more we can do to protect the clean water. Many Minnesotans don't realize how important this resource is. They just
Of course.
let it run, let the clean water run.
Of course. So yes, a lot of people don't understand that the runoff from the fields runs off downstream, and downstream runs off downstream and ends up where? Our drinking water.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter where you live or how clean you think your drinking water is. There are a lot of places that are affected. Even take a look at southern Minnesota. The MPCA came out with a new report saying that a lot of the water in the Southwest is not swimmable.
Really?
Yeah.
It used to be.
Well, it's something that we need to get working on here because a lot of our water quality is
Protecting the cleanliness of that water so that people can continue to enjoy it.
Yes, a lot of it is not swimmable and fishable, and that is scary.
Wow. Well, you've acquainted us with a number of facets of clean water action today. Is there anything more that you would care to tell us about?
Not unless you have any more questions. I think we've managed to cover quite a bit
Okay.
in such a small amount of time.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jenna.
Yeah, thank you so
Appreciate it.
much for having me.
We'll look forward to having you back again sometime as you work on these very important issues.
Maybe after we accomplish all the rest of this.
Oh, we may not wait that long.
Then we can have a party.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in. Been really great to learn more about what Clean Water Action is doing.